Good evening, everyone. I'm Paulson Joseph, Naval Architect and Managing Director at Summit Maritime Private Limited. We are based in Cochin. We are a marine design consultant and a fiberglass boat manufacturer, primarily focusing on power and recreational boating. I thank DOSTAS and Cruise Expos to provide this opportunity to speak on waterfront tourism infrastructure. The relevance of this topic in the current scenario is quite high. We have seen considerable growth in tourism in the past decade. I have taken a generic approach on this topic as development of waterfront tourism is different for each locality, considering the area of water resource and adjacent land mass available to develop or redevelop. Our legislation and policy for waterfront development makes it even more challenging. Even though the COVID pandemic has stalled the growth rate and adversely affected the tourism sector for the time being, the tourism sector is ready to bounce back in a much bigger way than we can think of with the ongoing vaccination process. To keep our tourism sector alive, a properly and carefully planned waterfront tourism infrastructure development is inevitable in the coming times. If we are keen to capture more volume of incoming tourists, this is a well said statement made by the Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization. In our place, we have seen many places like Cochin, Alappuzha, Munnar, Kollam, etc. are the best examples how tourism is a major income provider. Infrastructure development can seem to be an overwhelming process and essential for any business to start, grow, and flourish. Waterfront tourism is also no different. However, infrastructure development should be carefully planned to not to affect environmentally and should strike a good balance between existing facilities if it requires a redevelopment. When we develop infrastructure of a certain locality or city, the image of the city or locality, the lifestyle, and the value is elevated. Once the infrastructure development is complete and starts operating, quality of life of people in and around improves due to footfall of tourists and allied service sectors. It needs a complex ecosystem which becomes sustainable. There are many much cities around which have made use of the waterfront edge real estate in making very prime, sought after and must visit destinations. The infrastructure part is quintessential. For a locality or city, almost all departments, policymakers, stakeholders, and relevant associations must work in tandem. It must start with an idea and vision, with tourism and environmental friendliness at the center of it. The development process can be looked at as a seven-stage process or a seven-step process for better understanding. As you can see, each steps or stages has different sub-processes within it. So it all starts with an idea, then we go into the analysis, and from the analysis we get a go or no go decision is made. Then further we go again into the concept planning, design and engineering, permits and approvals. Again at stage of permits and approvals also there is a go no go decision has to be made, because we have seen the after effect of not getting proper permits and approvals before constructing or realizing a project. So this is being a very big infrastructure development projects. It's a must uh, checkpoint that all the permits and approvals are in place before proceeding. Then finally we have this evaluation. This evaluation part is usually neglected in many projects, but it has to be done so that we need to know whether we have achieved uh, the goals with this infrastructure, and this becomes a basis for the next infrastructure development project. Uh, the same process of infrastructure development of the seven-stage process can be looked at in different perspective. Here you can see that it's quite evident that how different parties and decision makers or service providers has to work in sync to make such projects a reality and more importantly sustainable. So you can see different parties they overlay they they have to work in tandem uh, in these kind of infrastructure development projects. Once the infrastructure is in place, it is equally challenging to get the people to come and spend time and money. So to do that, we need to have certain key elements incorporated within the infrastructure. We'll have a look at that now. The primary elements are the ones which are absolutely necessary and cannot do without these placed in the infrastructure design phase itself. Further, it also must be operational and maintenance friendly. Primary elements can be broadly classed into activity and leisure groups. These provide quality time engagement to any visitors. As you can see, into activities, we need to provide cultural facilities, sport facilities, amusement facilities uh, along this infrastructure. And again, when it comes to leisure, there has to be physical things like to have monuments, statues, harbors, piers, things like that, and socio-cultural features. So there is something for every visitor which come in. So their interest also vary differently. So whoever comes in, they have something they can spend their time out, which will in turn generate. The secondary elements are the ones that augment the experience from primary elements to ensure more quality time is spent and an urge to revisit or refer the place to another person. Further, it also must be operational and maintenance friendly. So as you can see, a waterfront tourism infrastructure should have cafe, delis, service apartments, hotels, shopping facilities, and again, when it comes to specific tourism-led facility, there has to be information offices, public toilets, guides and maps on display, and of course security to the tourists like tourist police or things like that. So these add to the primary elements, making it as a very complete infrastructure development package. With the current ongoing trends, marina is a must-have when looking at any waterfront infrastructure development. Around the globe, marinas have been successfully integrating most of these primary and secondary elements, if not the full, but most of it. People love to spend their time on marinas with some leisure activity. In many places, it is sold as a lifestyle product, especially who are into boating and yachting. A marina forms an ecosystem in itself, where many service providers coexist in harmony, creating multifold employment opportunities and help build image of a city or locality.